Now, this guy and another dude, they did this show back when John Edward and I just started to work together. I think it was in 2021. People call this one of the shows that started the Dabbleverse. I think it was called Revenge of the Sis. Now, again, I apologize. I don't know who these guys are, but they were bringing up the show that John Edward and I did together initially.
Matter. So Stuttering John talked about us on his podcast, and I think...
Hey, you remember, like, I was there, remember when Shuli and Benji, remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those guys, man. They were cool guys. It's this whole show now. It's so sad.
John, comment?
So, do we want to talk about that? Hey, Vinny, you there?
I'm here, buddy.
Okay. I'm just talking about all these podcasts.
That's his lawyer.
There's one out there that's supposed to make fun and supposed to tell you they're supposed to be doing a service to other people by fucking, telling them what podcast to watch.
John, your entire career was basically that show, but goofing on celebrities.
Yeah.
Like, your entire career was going out there and doing wacky interviews and making fun of celebrities. How dare you, sir? You don't get to judge people.
Listen to, and what podcast to not listen to. Yet, every week, all they talk about is my podcast.
That's not true. They've talked about several podcasts. I will tell you, this week we will be talking about your podcast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That will be happening.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're so unprofessional, too.
How dare you?
How can this guy call any...
How dare you?
But to me, Vinny, look.
Yo, Vinny.
I was joking because if you look in the corner here, John still had the StreamYard. Obviously, my camera, everything is all up there. And John wouldn't pay for the bullshit StreamYard baby chrome. In fact, these guys make fun of that. I don't think it's in here. They even call out how bad StreamYard is. This is years ago.
I know I'm not as relevant as George Clooney.
You're not as relevant as George Costanza.
I know I'm not as relevant as Howard Stern.
Well, Howard Stern's not as relevant as Howard Stern.
But even still, he's more
What a beautiful voice this guy has above me right here. Love it.
relevant than him.
No.
But if I'm so irrelevant, right? Relevant, then why do these two bald fat losers in their basements, trash me every week? Why does this loser in Rochester, who is a partner in a marketing firm,
You mean Rochester?
I think his name is Carla, why?
Wow, that's interesting too because I had no idea who the hell he was talking about at that point. I didn't even know who these guys were above us. I did listen to one or two of their shows and they were funny. They were making fun of John. They were calling him British John. I remember there was one segment that I really liked and I eventually told John that. But he's mentioning Carla here. This is probably back in 2021. This is part of the documentary. They left this part out, but the genesis of the Dabbleverse really is starting right here because these guys are doing really what Carl did and then what Shuli ripped off, that exact format, and they ran with it. That's cool.
Is he trying to dox it? Who are these podcasts? Is that what he's doing?
I think he is.
Is that what you're doing, Johnny boy?
That's not very cool, you
That's
John.
not cool or fun.
It's not very cool.
See
or
what
fun.
Tripp thinks.
How weird is that, too? Because we know eventually John Edward Melendez will disclose some of the information that is public. Carl's name, Carl's dad's diagnosis with cancer. Although I will always defend John Edward Melendez. It was Carl that initially gave that out.
Thinks about this.
Although Rochester makes sense with all the shows they make fun of.
Yeah.
It really does make sense now. It's all Metro-based shit.
Why, if I'm such a loser and I'm so irrelevant, why do they take the time out of every show to address me and this podcast? 832, Bobby Ojeda got into the boat accident with the Indians. Yeah. Oh,
Look, your boys are there. Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, there they are.
Just me.
Whoa, that's funny. You need to find hours more than we do.
So I guess Revenge of the Sis was super chatting in there. Again, back then, super chatting was not a big deal. And in fact, to me, it was just a total grift, but it was working. These guys super chatted in, and John couldn't handle it, of course.
That's a pretty.
But
good,
he's not quick. Like,
bro, he destroyed you.
He's
fucking
so dumb.
He just destroyed.
You have to read the whole thing.
How do I pull it up?
I'll read it. John, ask your ex-wife's boyfriend if you're allowed to call into our show.
Okay, look, that was mean.
You
and
said that? Jesus.
Now, of course, they're referring to Aaron Turner. At the time, we didn't know that he was half black. At the time, we didn't even know his name. But John Erwalinda's ex-wife, Susanna, fell in love with a half black, half white man who builds ships. He, of course, had 3 kids already, I think. And they're saying, well, why don't you ask Aaron's permission to call into the show? And I didn't know the dynamic of the relationship, whether John needed permission or not. So I think I questioned him on that.
My ex, I don't get it. Well, of course,
ex-wife's boyfriend.
you know, I don't get anything they say because they you know, I don't,
Because you barely speak English?
Seriously.
Because you're a bumbling fool?
you know, I don't even care that, you know, I mean, you know, you can say this, I'm not funny on this podcast, fine. I don't
Well, no. I never said you weren't funny on this podcast.
really give a shit. You know, you take my interviews in general, my interviews alone, and I'll put that up against any of these other podcasts.
Oh, yeah, the interviews that Jackie wrote.
Way funnier. Put any of my work on Stern, and I'll put these up against these fucking.
Yeah, but you're not on Stern anymore.
Yeah, but you're not doing
You gotta
it
stop.
anymore.
Hey, John, you got to stop clinging to the glory days.
Fucking losers. And I love how bald guys like to grow the beard, Vince. You ever notice that? It's like they're overcompensating because they don't have any hair on their head. So they figure, well, let me just show that I have hair. It's such a talk about insecure.
I'll have you know that my beard was complimented by several young ladies in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is they want to show that they have some hair somewhere. Because they're so insecure about their fat, bald, stupid heads that they got to grow a beard. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Do you think that Susanna's boyfriend wouldn't allow you to call their show?
Vince, you're not helping him here, bud. I mean, are you fucking torpedoing him?
I think he does.
Are you really torpedoing him?
There's a growing theory that Vince is just trolling him, because if you watch the show, there's a lot of moments that are just weird, and people are like, "This guy's not helping John," but he doesn't seem stupid enough to not know what he's doing.
Well, at the time, obviously that was a joke, and John, for some reason, would go and not understand that I was joking with him. I wasn't trolling. I wasn't trying to torpedo John's show. I'm trying to make it interesting, because what John does, as we know now why, is bring on co-hosts that will only agree with him. So one way you can not agree with him is to do it in a subtle manner, and these guys picked up on it.
He does shit like that. Like, it's just very funny. It almost reminds me of like Cousin Dan. Like the way he fucks with him.
Yes.
Like it's very subtle, but you're like, oh, he's
Take a
fucking
shot,
with
yeah.
him about it.
If we ask him?
I'm sure I could give a.
I'm sure he would.
Is he
Do you see how preposterous it is for John to have to ask Aaron Turner, Susanna's half-black fiance, if he's allowed to call into the show? I thought John would get that I was just screwing around, but he didn't.
You're so stupid. Can you get Jackie to write for you for this?
Frogs that. What?
So anyway, I was at Scores, right, with Audie.
Do I care? First of all, it's not
You've been talking about her for a while. Seems like you care a little bit.
a boyfriend. It's a fiance. She's getting married in July.
Well, you know what they mean.
The details of it don't help. Wow, this guy. You fucking hand him a
dumb.
shovel, he'll just keep digging.
He is not a smart man.
And it's semantics.
Yeah, no, but I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't understand what. Who
I mean,
cares?
is he restrictive with you in terms of like what you can do?
No.
He's fucking.
I'm not
with
gonna
him.
lie, hey Vince.
He's
but
fucking with him.
Vince, I don't hate Vince. I kind of like Vince.
I like Vince. Vince
Vince
has grown
won
on
me over. Jesus Christ,
He's
I
been
like
growing
you,
on me.
Vince.
The more I've watched this, I'm like, he's with John the whole time.
Hey Vince, you want a job?
No, I don't want any more jobs.
Hey, Manny, want a job?
I barely talk to the man. I mean, look, he's good to my kids. I don't have any problem with him. But see, Vince, even that is more interesting than anything these fucking, Revenge of the, girlless, fat, bald guys do.
He's quick. That's what they say about him.
Revenge of the.
Promise you're wrong.
One of them. I mean, look at him.
Yeah, that I agree with.
No, I mean, they're like bald, fat losers in their basements
We
who
heard
have
you.
done nothing constructive in their lives.
It's not true.
Ever in their lives had they done anything constructive. They haven't made one person laugh in their history. Attack, Stuttering John. I made President Obama laugh, Vince. Can they say that?
Yes, I actually,
They say that they made a president of the United States laugh? Can they say that?
You
yes.
got real estate advice from the President of the United States
Yes, and I do.
in Battery Park. You remember what he told you?
Yeah.
Stop doing this. You're embarrassing your family.
Don't ever leave the Stern Show. Whenever you do.
I don't like land leases. You know, I wouldn't do it, but if you really love it, do it.
He's right. So in Battery Park, there's just a space of a land that they built, but it's rented to the city. So when you own space there, a condo there, you don't technically own it for the perpetuity for the rest of your life. It's a 99-year lease. So you got advice from Trump. You got a flight from Trump. You got hotel rooms from Trump. You fought. You won your fight at Trump Taj Mahal.
Vince, you know, when you got these little douchebags, everybody go after John now. I'm not asking my fans to go after these losers.
No,
you tried to.
You're getting a lawyer.
Get lawyers to come after.
You're
us.
getting a.
When we explain that narcissism is pervasive, it means that it will never leave, ever. And look at this. Back in 2021, I guess John was still threatening lawsuits against someone. Did he change at all? Absolutely not. And it is great when you deal with a narcissist because they have no idea that they are one. Everyone around them knows eventually, but they have no idea. And their behavior will be consistent throughout time.
Lawyer coming after us. And
but come on, let's get everybody to go after John. Wow, how much energy are they taking? It's like I don't even want to talk about him anymore, but everybody keeps on.
Everyone's doing it because we weren't doing a show that day, and I was bored.
I asked you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Look, I thought the show was okay. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I said, this is amazing. I like Vince. I'm on Vince's side now. I'm Team Vince.
Come on, Vince. Come join the dark side.
Come on, Vince. Get your solo
Have some
show.
fun, bro.
So John was complaining about a show that they were doing, and it was British Stuttering John. Man, I wish I could get that too. It's pretty funny what these guys were doing. And yeah, if you want to talk about the real genesis of the dabbleverse, you really got to start here because it was these guys that were criticizing John Edward and myself were defending it, but I was also being an unbiased person that John needs in there. John can't work with someone that says anything negative towards him, despite some of the things that he does, but it does make for such a better show. And these guys didn't understand that I was not going to go in there and just agree with John. So they were expecting that, and I think that's why they were entertained by it.
I'll get you some view. You know what? I'll tell you what, Vince. I'm going to help you out. I'll help you out.
Let's help you launch your own show.
We'll give you the...
And at the time, I had already had a bunch of shows behind the scenes with the high-pitch one, which was more of a joke than anything. That was the one that was most public, but definitely not the one with the most views.
Cousin Joe treatment.
You're a big star.
You come over here, you make yourself a promo. I'll play the promo on this. We'll get you views, Vince. I promise you we'll get you views. I'll get you a co-host.
The loser or the one who follows him?
These are all great clapbacks.
Look, I thought the show was okay. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
They don't have a charismatic bone in their body.
Hey!
You put me alone and a microphone against those two fat, bald losers. Any day of the week.
I accept.
Right now, what do you think, Mike?
I will out-entertain them. I mean, there is not a question in my mind that I will out-entertain them.
When are you going to start?
They don't have an entertaining bone in their body. All they do is sit there and play other people's videos and trash other people.